Okay, so apparently this is what I'm here for. So it was no longer on his schedule. Now it is just, I may just, I don't know, because it seems like it was like picking up, but I don't know. Sometimes it seems like it starts picking up, but then it starts going back down. But I don't know. I think there's going to be a picking up and then it's going to flip. And then I think so much of the stuff that I say is going to make so much more sense once it flips. Then there's going to be reference or perspective so that there will be more to understand. Because when you say, like, people are going to be faced with themselves and stuff, I don't think it'll just have a different meaning once it starts happening, because it's going to be like on a level that it's harder to explain, but that is like when you see the things coming. And so anyways, this is, I don't know, on the things that I am shown to me. It's like, okay, this is what you're here for. This isn't on schedules. This is what, as soon as I saw the bridge collapse, like, I was sound asleep, and but I was kind of starting to move around, and so then there's always this thing. I don't know if she wakes me up or what, but then so she starts whining, so I go let her out, and she's had medicine. She's been out. She's had treats. So, and rubs. I've given her massages. She's gotten the treatment this morning. Like, she's in her own queen spa. And so, anyways, as she was whining, and so I was like, fuck, I'm just gonna have to get up. And so I just got my phone and I started looking at my phone and talking to Crystal, talking to Pam, and but these are probably gonna be shorter. But anyways, so I picked up my phone and saw the bridge collapse. I was like, fuck, man, fuck. Like, when you can see this stuff ahead, it's like being far out and there's a whole lot of stuff going on where you're just like, but you pick up on the energy and like in a vision. Well, this is like, everybody's got their own, and everybody's got to translate their own too. And anyways, but so to me, the whole thing about like them talking to me since I was a little kid and showing me things, and I've been on this spiritual journey since I was little. Like, I was born for this. This is what I'm here for. It's something about this whole thing. Like, I don't know how to explain it all, but I get shown these things. And so, anyways, I'll be recording or I'll be putting a lot of videos, even if it seems kind of wacky. But it's like, it's supposed to, I don't know if it's to help move the energy. It's like some of us are here to make sure the lymph doesn't get clogged up, because this is sad. I'm going to start crying. It's going to be hard shit. There's going to be hard stuff that we're going to be going through right as this shift is going to happen. And there's a lot of stuff about it. It has to do with the energy and stuff. But anyways, when you start doing this kind of stuff and talking and stuff, and then there's all these other voices out there saying all this wacky stuff, you can feel like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I just sound like another whack. Why do I think like, but anyways, it was like I was trained for it since I was a little kid, to be able to hear, to be able to be in touch with the spiritual side of the world, side of life, even to the point, where I knew religion wasn't a thing from the time I was a kid. And I knew it was, the spiritual journey, this connection, and this journey is what life is all about. And I've been living it. And so, and I living it, was like, stood out as a weirdo. And people thought I was strange and stuff. And people didn't understand me. People wouldn't understand my perspective on things. And so I always just felt like, I'm just weird. I'm weird. Like I just came out the fucking thing weird. Just like my body, like I was like, oh, it was funny because it was like we all got called these same things, like Jolly Green Giant, and a lot of boys, even the boys could be really rough. When some of us grew past them, I don't know if it really made them feel inferior, but oh my God, a giant and stuff like there's a lot of stuff you endured it when you were something was different about you. So, but those things are what make you stronger. You can't control the other people, but it makes you stronger because it hurts your feelings. And then you have to go through like, but it's okay, you know, and you have to keep building yourself back up. And so, anyways, there's a certain way of living, like I've been saying, because when I hear other people talking, I'm always like, man, how people live so different. And so, anyways, is to talk about, my perspective or whatever. Still, let me finish doing this, please. And I massaged oils onto her, and then she licks them all off. But it's supposed to, go like I have a whole little mix. It's the frankincense, and myrrh. But you know what she does? Oh, I should have put that light on. She loves that light. It puts out a really weird light, so maybe I'll do that. I'll do it in a little while. Because if I go do it now and then it looks really weird and it sets this all off, then I'll be like, it'll make me look like I'm the devil sitting here because it's very red. And it does something. I don't know if it does something to your eyes, but you can feel it. And mine came with these sunglass thing, or, the sunbed things, whatever those are called, tanning bed eyeball things. And so I was like, fuck, am I not supposed to be having my eyes? Is this going to burn my eyes? Because when I was a teenager, I had a bad complexion, these giant cheeks and bad complexion. And I had gotten a light thing. I don't remember what it was, a UV kind of light thing. And I could sit in front of it and it would like put sun rays onto my skin. And this is before like there was all this dermatologists and stuff like that. This is like the same thing. Like we were on our own. We had to figure this shit out. And if I sat in front of that light, it would dry out my skin. Well, I didn't know all the actions. Now I seem to, I understand more about it. But I would think like it would dry out my skin and then it would clear my skin up. And, but I didn't have any of those things. And one time I burned my eyeballs by looking at it. And it looks different. Like it doesn't look like this thing. But anyways, that, brings back that PTSD of like, oh shit. Oh, that was painful. It felt like there was blisters on my eyes. You couldn't, having them open hurt and having them shut hurt. Oh my God. And it lasted, I don't even know how long it lasted. Seems like it was for sure days. It was really horrible. Don't want to do that again. So anyways, but when I sit here and question myself, this is the kind of stuff like they show me and stuff. So that's why I say there's a lot of like where you have to keep walking through a door that's very uncomfortable because you are trying to, you are going towards, like to me, if I went into the other direction, like if I didn't just keep going, like where they say, no, just like this is what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be talking about this. And that gives people something to like hold on to, like, it gives them choices to hold on to so that they don't all just, there's so much dog paddling through life. And so it gives, when you say things and stuff, then it gives people something to hold on to so that they don't feel like they're just dog paddling or drowning or whatever. So, but when you're weird and stuff, then, it takes a lot to put yourself out there. And so there's a lot of coaching that goes on. Like I said, there's a lot of talking all the time. And so, maybe I'm oversharing. But I think that helps for people to start being able to understand their own communication. because I think people don't understand that they're being communicated with all the time. It's just like you're not paying attention. And it's such a fine tuning of attention. Like, I swear to God, I can't believe the fine tuning of it. Like, it is, it is like, okay, say like at an airport, you know, you have the guy who's talking to the airplanes, and he's giving them all these directions, and he's telling them how to go and flight patterns and stuff to go so they don't hit the other planes, and they're all out there spinning circles trying to get their chance to go down, and he's got them all up there juggling all these balls. And so you're the plane coming in all the time. Like, you have this commander in chief who is talking to you over this radio system, and you are being communicated with and directed, but it's like you go on autopilot and you are distracted with the scenery and you don't pay any attention. And so to what your directions are. It's like you go into like a meditative, like how I used to go in at school, and I would go, like the teacher would start talking, I'd go into like a meditative state, and I would just be gone. And I didn't know what was wrong with me. Like, there was nobody talking about that kind of stuff. Everybody just say like I was, uh, there was a bunch of different words that I got labeled, but all words like flighty, uh, uh, just always stuff that, you know, like I was a weirdo, and I didn't think for myself and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, this is just the weirdest thing. It is so weird to come to this realization, you know, that you were over here listening to the commander, and all these other people were just distracted with the scenery and telling you that you were stupid. It's like, it's just the weirdest thing. So, anyways, but that is, so all the people, they are like distracted, and it's kind of like, too, like you, like going in, landing all the time and fueling up, and then, you know, there's a lot of dinging and getting in accidents and stuff that get you kind of mangled up, or, you know, not running so well. Like right now, I think my body's like changing off of it's like going off of regular and wants to go on diesel or something. Like, I don't know what's going on. I feel like it is like there's a whole changeover going, and like my body keeps rejecting everything. And then I keep having these things where I see these guys talking about like, oh, I'm on a 30-day fast. So I was like, fuck, man, I gotta try this fasting thing. I gotta get serious. Like, I've done one, but you know, it's like stop eating at noon and then eating at noon the next day. It's not that hard of a stretch. Well, it's hard. Like, that's a big challenge. So now it's like, okay, 30 days, or even, you know, 3 days. But it's supposed to be like, supposedly 3 days, your body just like resets. And so, I don't know. I feel like my body's telling me like something, like maybe it's on overload with all the poisons or something. I don't know. This is just exhausting sometimes to just be like, fuck. This whole thing is exhausting. You know, it's very exhausting. And no matter where you are in it, I'm sure, it's super exhausting to everybody. And so that is why, you know, there has to be some weirdos like me out here talking about things, because it helps people pull out of looking at the scenery and being on autopilot. And especially because right now the scenery seems to be getting pretty dark. Everybody's scenery is getting dark. Even people who are like heading for the fast food things, they're all coming out like, what the hell is this? There's like, it's just one problem after another. And that is like when I kept saying, like, things are going to fall apart and people are going to feel it pulling out of their hands. If you're holding on to something, it's going to hurt. That is what I'm talking about. Is these people, like, it's like they don't realize they're hurting themselves because they are just keep continuing to play along, especially into a place where, you know, to think like everything's the same, to just think like you could just keep going, that puts you in such a distracted state, like you're not paying attention in the world. And so why, there is this is what this whole awakening is about. Like, Jesus Christ, just look at the people. Fuck, man. Oh my God. They just keep on going and going and going for years. Oh my God. Like nothing's wrong. We'll just keep going. I swear to God, it's always like everybody's a shock, but there's more and more of these. You guys, things are not ever going to go back to the way they were. There's really, things are not going to go back. It's like, oh my God, it's taken a while, but yeah, y'all are catching on. It's never going to go back. We're in a time of transition, and all you guys are doing is holding on to the past. And that is what it is. That's what this, but it has to go that way. It's not like I can change it just because I can see it or I can say it, or, I'm standing over here. It's like, when you're standing over here in observation, that is where you got to work on your own self of like, you can't be rushing everybody else. You got to see the bigger picture. You got to let everybody play out their storylines. You got to let everybody, come to their own realizations and stuff. And I feel like there's so much of this, like, I don't know. I've always kind of been like that, but I see like this cartoon character. I kind of see him like as the wolf character, like if you in the cartoons from back when I was a kid. The wolf character only is looking at a watch. He's getting up there and he's got his little fancy suit on. He's got his watch, of course, is like a grandfather clock or whatever that thing is on the little chain. And he's got that, and he's tapping his foot. He's just standing there tapping his foot. If I was in a cartoon character, I would be me. It's like, come on, guys. And then, but I've got this other group that is next to me that is peace. This is how you find peace, my child. So it's like, okay, I get it, okay. And so that is why it's like this constantly, like this training and stuff. So anyways, I get the whole thing of like the frustration and the, like, come on, people, come on, catch on. And I'm like, why? I know like some of the stuff I say, it doesn't make so much sense when I'm saying it. And that's why there's so much stuff I'm saying now that's going to make so much more sense here real quick. And I think it's coming in faster and faster. And I think that is why, like, I feel like this, okay, well, I got to go talk again. And then I look and I'm just like, oh my God, it's only been a few hours. I'm going to look like an even crazier person. It's like, there's a reason you're alone, kid. You got business to do. And it's like, oh my gosh. And some of this stuff, like, I don't know. There must be some things that I say that there's something in there. So, because sometimes I feel like I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying, honestly. I swear to God, I don't even know. So, it's like you're just trying to keep up with pictures and images and words as they're going by. But it's like you have an understanding, and it's like you're trying to explain your understanding. And so it's like, it's a whole thing. But in the airport kind of thing, so all these people who are over here, like you've got the commander over the radio talking, and like I've said, it's always like this. There's an interference in this connection. They create this interference. So I'm not saying like, oh, I forgot I got a cup of tea. Hell yeah, hell yeah. Hold on a second. Okay, so in the connection, see, I've said that there is this interference that they have created in it. So when I'm saying like all these people are over here distracted, looking out the windows, on autopilot, nobody is fucking, listening to the commands coming in, and that's why there's crashes all the time. And that is, oh, fuck yes. That is why, okay, I don't even know if I can explain some of this. So that is why, oh my gosh, I'm going to start crying. That is why it starts being weird. Okay, I don't even know if I'm translating it right, so hold on a second, because I sure see it in a certain way. Hold on. That is why when everybody starts paying attention, why they stop dying is because they're, the dying part is like lessons to get you to connect. Like, oh man, I don't know if I could. Like, it all goes together. All of this stuff. Like, it's way bigger than just this one. So don't get yourself all cut off in just one life. All these lives. And you're going through all these different lives so that you can keep getting, like, in the game. So as the player in the game, you come into the game. If you level up in the game, then you are connecting to the commander-in-chief. It takes a lot of time. So, and nobody is doing it wrong. And then once you connect, you know, like where people like think like they're connecting to God, like all these people are, oh, it's the Almighty. So when you get into that connection and you start understanding yourself on this, like this what I'm keep talking about, like what I'm going through, like this weird changes, like with my body, this whole thing of like, you know, you're not flesh and blood. This is an illusion. There's just like a whole, like every soul has its own little like scenario going. You have your own developing storyline. You have your own communication. So everybody has their own. So, you know, I'm sharing mine. As crazy as it sounds. It's, you know, but we all have a storyline, and this is like, and I don't ever mean any of this stuff in a mean way, but you know, like how I was saying about David Wilcock, like he had a relevance. He had a period of time where he was relevant, like he had a purpose, and he was great at his purpose, you know, and then his purpose began to fade, but it wasn't because his purpose was out, like his legacy would still stand. I mean, like, you know, some point somebody will be like, I'm the reincarnation of David Wilcock. But his legacy would be his legacy. You know, he made a huge movement in society. He gave a lot of us weirdos, you know, a voice, somebody who was speaking out so that we had somebody to hear, you know, it was, you know, gave us a buoy. And so he had an importance, and it's like he's trying to cling on to it, but in his spiritual things, he like, this is where he's like disconnected. Like he knows it like on the surface level. It's like, oh, I read the Bible. It's like he knows it, but he's not living it. And he may be trying, like everything in his life, like you can see how it just keeps crashing and crashing and crashing. I said that's what the universe will do when they're trying to get your attention. I mean, he could end up getting into a bad accident and then having to be like hospitalized for a couple months in rehab or something, you know, I mean, it could be anything, a hip injury, a shoulder, like there's anything. It depends on what you are doing. You know, you're trying to carry too much, you're trying to go where you're not supposed to go. Like your injury will have to do with something that you are doing. Like my brain injury, like I was overthinking. I was trying to make the plan. I was trying to do what I thought was best. You know, I was working too much. I was in fucking one bad relationship after another. My kids, you know, I mean, I've got one daughter who's so resentful of me that she still isn't speaking to me. So, but that is also a part of our society. That's also a part of the rhythm of what is happening in the climate of our society. So that is, you know, I'm not just like, oh, she's such a bad person or she's just not healed or any of that stuff. It's like, this is a part of what our society is purging. There's a lot of division in families and misunderstanding, and most people don't have an understanding of what the spiritual is about. And so I've been misunderstood by a lot of people. So my kids, everybody. So my parents. I think that was a big thing too when my dad died, or when he was dying. That's when he was being shown stuff about me, and so anyways, and it was making him very happy. So and sometimes like the stuff, it's like, oh, I don't want to say all of that stuff. Oh, it's a lot of. Sometimes I've like I'm still working through things too. Like We all are working through things. So, because there was a whole learning thing, like my dad passing when he did, and learning what I came to teach and seeing it, and then like my mom's, and I can see things play out. Like I can see things. There's just a lot of things I see, and the different effects and the different lessons and why they go. But there's different emotions and stuff that go along with different ways of processing through different lessons and stuff. And you know, there's there's just a lot, like we're, I mean, people, like, I've got to talk about my own life, but then there's people who would feel very much like they're being rejected and thrown under the bus when you're talking about it. So it's kind of like their own pain misses the point of what it is. And I know that there's that process. So, and it's got to be allowed. There's nothing I can do about it, but it's also one that I put the brakes on a lot. Like, things will start coming in and it's like, wait a minute. I'm like, wait, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. Anyways, so in this Wi-Fi connection, like I had been talking about before. So only in that scenario, I was talking about it like in the video game, like the player on the couch is trying to communicate with the player in the game, but there's a disconnect. So this is like the same kind of thing. So the airplane, their radio is disconnected. It's not picking up on what the radio directions are. But when you pick up on the radio directions, I'm telling you, this is nonstop. There's always talking. Like I said, I was able to start hearing it at 3, and once I heard it, I always heard. I mean, that's why I can tell you it is because I can know when there's a lot of noise. There can be a lot of noise in between, and I know like the safety of that voice. That's why I said that's like, I don't need names. Like there could be other energies that could come in and throw a name and tell you, oh, I'm so and so. No, I can tell you're not. You got to feel the energy. So it is an energy. I don't know how, like, and to me, it's an energy of safety, of calm, of thinking things through, of it's like your common sense side, your logical side, your loving. Yeah, but they didn't mean it. Yeah, but look at what they're going through. And people can go too far into that where they're not using their protective parts. And they tried to develop this world heavy into masculine energy, and so many women adapted to that and lost themselves. And what was that? Because I don't know. There's so much stuff going with the sexual assault and stuff like there, and it's popping up in movies and everything. In the Diddy stuff, like on their like his sons are like, this Diddy stuff is like big. I don't know. It's gonna be a huge thing. Like, I mean, it could be even bigger than Weinstein or like all these big names. Like, that's why it was so silly when they get all on one. Oh, we want the flight log. This is the only, like, you guys are silly. You're wasting all this time on this one when it is supposed to get you to just wake up like, oh, there's a whole bunch of these. They're all over. And how much does that keep leaking in and leaking in? But people just like, oh, yeah, but we want see how they direct their energy. Through fear, they hyper focus on one thing. And they just beat it to fucking death. It's like, no. And that should be opening your mind to see like, oh, this is what these fucking, oh. And then even in the midst of all this, they go and start taking over this one big fucking island. And they show us how they do it. And then how they make money off of us. Oh, look, we're going to give you a beach and we're going to make a lot of money on it, charge you a lot of shit. And we're going to make you work all year for it. Like, the whole fucking thing is just, it's very irritating when you see it. And you see how it all goes. It's like, oh, fuck you guys. Like, you got us. You fucking tricked us all right. But it's like, oh my gosh. Hold on, I gotta get another drink. So, you know, and when, the more that you connect to the inner voice, the quiet voice, not the one who wants revenge, not the one who is thinks somebody's stupid, not the one who wants to pick sides. It is there's a voice. Those voices all matter. I'm not saying those voices don't matter. All the voices, you know, like they get you to pick sides or to get you to, every one of them that is get you to look at something in a certain way has a point. But the point is that you're supposed to go in and question it. Look at it. Why am I looking at it like this? What am I doing? Why am I doing this because I'm trying to please somebody? Am I doing this because this is going to make them happy? Is this what I really want to do? This is where you got to start getting more into the understanding yourself. So you have all these things that are available for you, all these things happening and occurring so that you get all this time to question yourself. It just is that so many people are going at this approach in this backward manner. And that is what, when things shift, that's why it's going to feel like really embarrassing to a lot of people, because they're going to be, because there's things that they think that they're doing and they're not doing it. And I mean, David Wilcock, he probably thinks he's all healing himself. He probably thinks he's doing good just because he's Edgar Cayce and he knows about aliens and stuff like that. But it's like, no, dude, you got to face like your bankruptcy, you know, like bankruptcy is to show you like, do you need this? Like, you know, are you real caught up in this business? Like, can you let it go? Like there's lessons in all this stuff. And him, he's like trying to get everybody to throw in life preservers. And I see this all the time. I see it all the time. TikTok after TikTok. People going on asking people for money. They're in a desperate way. Please, somebody, please help me. But I think we're supposed to go internal. We're supposed to go in and question. Like, well, if this isn't here for me, then you know, do I really need this? Is this something that I'm supposed to, like, because you're not supposed to be stressing about this shit. And, you know, and is he still sitting in that big ass house that he bought in Colorado with his wife? Can he not sell it? And you know, and I'm not saying, because I'm sure people think like, well, why don't you just sell your place? Well, I can't sell my place for one thing. But I never had that feeling like I feel like certain things stayed broken because I wasn't supposed to sell it. There was supposed to be that link. Like that's why I say the universe has its own action. They can make things go the way they want them to go. That's why the more you get into the flow, the more you get into that listening to the commander, even if he has you going in circles and circles and circles, and you're like, oh my God, are we going to land? And you just have to trust. It's like, oh no, we've got the perfect place. You're coming in. Oh, don't you worry. We've got the perfect place. You just keep on going. It's like, but I'm running out of gas here. And it's like, oh, you're going to be fine. You know, you got to get more into this listening over the radio, the fine tuning your connection, your Wi-Fi connection to your advanced self, your higher self, your God self, your whatever you want to, you know. I mean, some people do have like the same higher self. There's some people there's I think multiple people. I think like some of the things where I said there's going to be huge amounts of people that are going to die at the same time, and they're going to go home. It's like a higher self calling them all home. And a higher self, like think about how the earth represents like all these different islands and mountains and stuff. It was like, were the gods here having a meeting and then they froze them like one group, and then, you know, or but the island, the islands around, because they're everywhere, and those are like micro, macro, like if you went out, like, then it's the higher self of, it's like the higher self of this, like if you want to think of like a god, because it's has the ability to create so many experiences at once. So it can project itself out into multiple different experiences, which creates like a planet. And then you have other beings like us who are not at that range. Like, we aren't that. We aren't the ones that are projecting out, millions of us. Like I said, this is like an ascension. It's like you becoming your own identity. It's like you becoming your own, it's like an advancement through the game. And then you, it's like, it's like a creation of a being, a creation of a new energy or something, because it's out of awareness and out of raising its vibration. And so then, like, when a big group, like, and this is why I don't know for sure, is like when a big group, like a dark energy, and it goes back home to its center, and it is reabsorbed into that entity's energy, then it's re-expressed however it wants to re-express. But this is like, if we came from something like that, then this is us becoming a separate energy. So we are being birthed. This is like the birthing of a new energy, of new gods, of new creators, because of so many of the cells or souls just on autopilot doing the work. But you know how I've been talking about, like, the expansion of the work that we do. But so many of them don't have the ability to think of, like, that there's more. They can be more than a slave. They can be more than what they are. And so they just do the work. And outside of the game, you're held by your vibration. So wherever your vibration is, so say your vibration, is down low. Like, I don't think it would be as low as here. I think it automatically, you go up in vibration when you go out of your body, because you don't have that reference, the thing that causes the creation of anger and tension and competition and all of the stuff that it brings up. So you automatically, being detached from that, you raise your vibration. That's why in this process, the more that you can detach from it. And that's why, like, I think it's absurd when I see, like, these girls that are preaching like they're so advanced spiritually, and they're using all of this masking. It's like, you got to be able to be taking the masks off, not putting them on. You have to get comfortable in your own skin, not hiding who you are. And then when they put on these fake voices and then, oh my gosh, when they just do videos of just like their clothes, that's, I will be wearing those dresses. You bet your ass I will. There's a reason. Like, there's a reason I'm manifesting these dresses. Like, it's not manifesting anymore. My room has got a lot of dresses. And oh my gosh, wait till you see them. Oh, they're so pretty. I got a lot of pretty dresses. But, and, I know that the reason I'm getting the dresses, and this is where people, like, to me, I think they don't understand manifestation. Like, I know the reason I'm getting the dresses is because they're telling me to get the dresses, because there's a reason why I'm going to need the dresses. And so I'm going towards that unknown vision, where people are like, what are you talking about? You need to be packing. You're going to be kicked out of your house. You need to be doing this. It's like, well, that's not what they say. They're telling me something different. Okay, wacky. Why do you keep talking about this? Like, you have got to get logical. You can't just live in your own little weird world. It's like, yeah, well, they do me right. But that's, this is like how it is. Like, this is how you live when you live like that. Nobody understands it. You just look like a weirdo. And But that is why I think, I'm supposed to be talking about it, because it is so people can learn how to mend their connection, so they can start, oh, wait, that was somebody talking in my head, and start catching the communication. And like I said, it is like a constant. It isn't like just waiting. No, it's all the time. Like, oh, you could have taken that with you. You could have listened to me. I just told you to do that. And so there is like this voice, like above you, that is telling you, like it can see out, and is like directing you, like the radio guy. So it's like directing you through life. But, like I said, so many people, they disconnect from that. And I don't know if it is, I don't know why. Why people disconnect from it. I don't. It's got to just be part of the thing, of the challenges and stuff. Like okay. Like, hold on a second. Hold on. I don't even know about. Hold on. So is the real player of the game? It is this more bigger, advanced, higher self that can express out in a whole bunch of different players. And then, so it can put a whole bunch of different players into the game. And then it can see how many, it's not like it's not like a winning, but there is like this is like got so many levels. There's so many levels. Like, there's reasons why these games, like going into these, they're like holograms and stuff. I think that is one of the things that's coming into like the firmament. Is kind of like a movie screen or something. Like, it probably is like a screen of this face coming through. Because why would something have a giant face like that? There's not like just giants out there just in space, just walking around in the air, like the Watchers and stuff. Like, I keep seeing like faces in the sky, faces in the clouds and stuff, and they're more like that, more like these apparitions. Like, this one looks like a giant mannequin, like off of these binaural beat things, where all of the ones, like I said, the 432s for the healing ones, they have this face. It's the same fucking face. It weirds me out, because it'll come on the TV and it's like, who came up with these images? Because I think they came up with the same one in this hologram. And then when you see all these different videos of all this crazy stuff going on in the skies, there's so much weird stuff. It's like all they got to do is just like light up the things, just like the sphere. When this sphere thing came, we are in a sphere. We are in the same thing as what they are showing that sphere to be. It's like this created world, like this habitat. And then they lie to us about, because then they can control us. But we come into this, like, this isn't something we're forced into. We come into it because it's like this learning and growing and this reconnect. Like, there's so many different levels. Like, the level I've been playing is different than the level other people have been playing. But that doesn't mean that they, that like, that we're not like, it doesn't mean like one of us would be higher vibration than the other. Like, you can come from the same. But see, you can't advance like wherever you are. So your vibration, like when you reach a level of consciousness of, who am I? What am I doing here? And you reach that level of consciousness, you're at a certain vibration. And that's why I like about where people get all like freaked out about these like dark energy and stuff. It's like, it doesn't have a state of consciousness. It doesn't think for itself. It feeds off of you. It feeds off of us. It is not manipulating you. It manipulates you in a sense of a parasite. It makes you think you need stuff you don't need. It keeps you trapped and stuff. Like, it sends impulses, and it's like, that's why I said, like, the dark energy, depending on how much you have, that can completely interfere with your connection. because so much noise to try and get through, because it feeds off of your impulses inside. It pokes them. So you have reactions. So it keeps you distracted. And so the more you can defeat the dark energy, but don't get thinking like it's conscious, like you're fighting something like you. No, it's like a worm or something. It's like it's not even like a sad little puppy looking for a home. It is it doesn't have, like, it's not the same fight. They're not fighting you like on that battle, like how people think they're fighting demons. Like, there's people who there's videos and stuff of people losing it, and where it seems like there's devils in them, and all these religious people see there's demons, these are demons. And but it is when you have a lot of dark energy, and people on drugs and homeless, and there's a lot of dark energy around them, and they feed it. There's a lot of feeding that dark energy. And see, these beings that run this place, they know that there's pockets of this on purpose. It is it's funny, because then I was just seeing like Duran going through, because he goes through Skid Row a lot. I bet he has no idea how much dark energy he's like goes through, that just attaches onto him, because he doesn't always have a good mood. Like, he tries and be in a good mood, but you can just tell he's just kind of like he wants something different, or wants something more. Because when he was going off on talking about wanting to go back to school and stop doing this, so anyways, but that's that dark energy will either keep you dissatisfied, it will keep you wanting something more. It all is inside you. It's there so you can learn, and it's like, it's part of the game. It's part of the, what, Mario Brothers or whatever, what was he having to go, it was like a pizzas or something, I don't know what the hell he was fighting. But anyways, the dark energy is like what you're fighting. So and the more that you can defeat it, the more you raise your vibration, which is ding, 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 ding. So the more that you can get through those battles. And that is why it's like letting the skeletons out of the closet. It's like you having to battle yourself, because it's you, they're triggering you. It's all the stuff is inside of you. And it's not them outsmarting you. No, you. Now, that's probably why all these people think it's the devil. It's the devil. They're out like, it's because you're not facing your own darkness. No, it's shit inside you. You have this inside you. And the parasitic energy pokes it, so that so it feeds them with your negative stuff. But the negative stuff is inside you. That's why all this, like this time of mirrors and stuff, is going to be like showing people their own biases, because that is something that we have to relieve ourselves as a society of, in order to move forward. We can't be dividing over, where you come from, where'd you come from, and what color is your skin? Well, how much do you weigh? Well, how old are you? It's like, no, we got to come together just as a species. And I see there's so many things going on, because there's so much stuff like on this spiritual thing, and in each person, and there's as the whole, and then the higher selves that are coming and having all these different expressions. And then there's some of us who are, becoming our own beings by going through this stuff. And I don't know, I don't know which people, we all, at some point, we all end up coming from some higher self. We all end up coming from some, and even those higher selves, like you go further back, everybody, it is one giant connection. But it's like I said, it's like how we have a body, like how there's organs, and then how in our landscape, how there's islands. It's like the same kind of thing. So there's like these higher selves, like these bigger beings that are able to express in a lot of different expressions. And like say for instance, like you got all these people hooked on Jesus, It's like, I don't think Jesus is like that. Like when the people talk about like ascended masters and stuff like that, there's like ascended masters are like people who've already, like what we're doing, like we're ascending, we're mastering the ascension, we're becoming our own. These other ones I'm talking about, is like the Big Bang created. It's like these are like the ancient, that go all the way back to the like beginning of time. And it's like the whole beginning is like it exploded out, and there was like these different energies, and they formed expressions of self, which created planets. And then the planets, and then outside of the planets, the beings, then outside of them was all these other energies, like all these other souls and stuff, all this other energy. But see, a soul, depending on the different levels of consciousness, like you can see, like all souls have conscious awareness of self. And so it's a development to become aware of self. And so I think is like where they came up with this like outer space and planets and stars and stuff. But it's this energy. And so an energy that created a planet that became conscious of itself. And then like the stars became conscious of themselves. And then they started going to see like, well, what is this place? What is this place? And there was more of a union, more of a harmonious thing. But as time advanced, there became more of like, because there became like these certain beings that, want to take everything over, and then would take things. There was ones that had places that they wanted what this place had and would go take things. So there was a lot of fighting, like the same way as what we're doing right now over land. It was more like that over when things were more open. And because energy fills itself in, and so it is like it just fills in, it expands. Like I said, like you put an ink in it, and then it just keeps expanding. And you put the water on the paper, how it expands out. See, that is like how the universe is just this expansion of energy, and it all comes from all these different things, like these planets, like how they call this one like Gaia. And I don't know where all that comes from, if it goes way back, like, but so when you had like these energies that became because even on it does seem like it was like, so like it was beautiful planet. This must have been back when it was like carbon based and everything was super giant, and it was like this really beautiful. And so if there weren't like gods, or wasn't like other planets, it wasn't like other planets, but look, let's go over to this planet and see what's going on this planet. But it was bigger energies. It wasn't just like when you think about stars and stuff, in their different sizes, think about their conscious energy. And so, little shimmering stars, barely even, it's an energy, but what's it going to do with it? And then as it becomes bigger and more aware of itself and more experienced, it becomes bigger and brighter. That's the raising your vibration. But way back, there was these bigger ones. And so those ones were like gods. And so there was like these god-like beings that would go around onto these planets and stuff. It is almost like a meeting or something. Like there's a lot of beings on this planet or something. I don't know if there was some kind of a draw. Like, I keep hearing something about, like, not Atlantis, even though is uh, more like a, uh, man, it's like the Greek gods or something, like, with, like, Zeus and stuff. It's like, I keep hearing, like, something, like, I don't know, but I'm seeing it like that. Like these big godlike these big godlike creatures, but it's like this energy, and in like that there was all of that in a place, and then this event happened that like petrified everything, where all of a sudden all these things became like islands and stuff, but their energy is still trapped there. It's like they're mummified, like their energy is there. That's like why, like in Hawaii, how those people will be like that there's a god that they're connected to on the island. And then even in that Moana, how they showed that the island stood up and it was a person. And and that's what got people so pissed on that Mother of God thing, because she came in and started saying that she was their God. And they're like, hell to the no. That's like what I'm saying. Like, you got to recognize the energy. Yeah, anybody can come in and claim anything. It's like, no, you got to know the energy. And those people knew their God. And they're like, hell to the no, lady. You're not our God. You're blue, by the way. Get you going. It kicked her off of Hawaii. They're like, hell no, lady. You're out. And then she went off and died. But, you know, she had herself so up in ego. And that's kind of like what David's doing. It's like, dude, there is a new shift. The shift is going towards a spiritual independence. Is going towards people, you know, connecting that Wi-Fi. It has to do with that. It has to do with this. There's a new movement, and he wants to keep bringing in his. It's like, dude, we're in a new movement. Why can't you see what's happening? Like, it's weird because there's some of the people like you would look at throughout, like when you're listening to them, and you would think like, oh, they're so spiritual, they're so deep or whatever. And then you start seeing their actions, and it's like, but wait a minute. But that's going to be like on a more scale. That's why I'm saying, like, you know, whoever you're following, you'll see. And even, you know, me, like I said, I don't know, we'll see. Well, everything will be exposed. Everything will be seen. And, you know, like, you got to put yourself out there and be willing to be seen. But there's healing behind it all, you know. So whatever comes of it, it is, you know, healing. So because you got to use it as healing. Like, it's not going to be healing if you just don't use it as healing. If you don't just distract yourself and you don't use it productively. And you got to think about what you're trying to do. You're trying to understand yourself. So those big beings, those big energies like that. And then there's then there's some big energies, and I don't know if it was like there got to be a lot trapped or something, and then there developed more, but there was a whole creation of hostility, of but one thing is as the universe expands, see, it just colors in more. It doesn't like the dark is kind of like one of those pictures, because even when you scrape away the dark, there's all this color underneath. So it's like when you do a color picture, you know, and then you put black over it, and then you scrape out like your name or whatever, like we used to do in like school. And so you do all those colors, and you color black over it, and then you scrape out, and then it has the color of your name underneath or whatever. So it's kind of like that. So even when things get filled in with dark, there's still color underneath. You just can't see the color because of the darkness. But the universe, it is like the same way that disease shows us things, like how disease can help us to heal things. It's like the same thing for the universe. So the darkness, like where people are like, oh, well, those people are going to hell. That's your own judgment, because the universe doesn't look at it like that. And then when you have judgment, it's like you're putting energy into something that's none your business. It's none your business. It's not your place. So it is, and we waste energy on that. But it's a part of like the game. It's a part of like the development. And, so the more that you can stop doing that, and the more you're advancing yourself, the more you're going towards becoming, you know, your own higher self. I think this is like this pulling free into independence. So like to become like an ascended master. Because I don't think like Jesus isn't going and expressing himself out into thousands of different ones. I think like a lot of those ascended masters are more of like watchers, you know. They're more of this is more of I don't know, this is like blue collar. We're the workers. We're the worker bees. Yeah, I don't think that they are like the worker bees. They are more of queen bees. But see, then there's even more advanced souls, like what I'm saying, of like that can make whole giant. It can express themselves in a whole giant mass, and hold that expression. And then hold that expression so that there can be all these experiences, and hold that expression throughout. Like it's ridiculous how we come up with like that. They try and get us to limit ourselves with time. It is no, because all this stuff is so much bigger. Like Earth has been holding this expression for a long time. So that is why there's like this change. And then that's why I said like there's a lot of like her just rolling around and moving herself, like getting more comfortable, because yeah, she's held this expression. And so, you know, I mean, on one part you could say like that she's a god, you know, and you connect with her energy. And that is kind of like what we're going to be doing as we go through this advancement, through this age of Aquarius. It is about this connection back to her, back to the planet, back to nature, Mother Nature, the gift of her grandiosity of everything that she offers. I mean, she sprouts up plants that you need when she feels that you are not doing well. She'll sprout up plants that you need. Like, she's always giving to us. And then people are stomping on her and, you know, driving their cars over her to get to the markets and get to these places, because they're all sold on something that they think they need that they don't need. But once they go through this process of having things ripped out of their arms and going through the thing of like, I really don't need that. I really don't need that. And that's the part you got to get to. If you just sit there, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I got to have it. I got to have it. Which is like, that is this dependency on medicine. Like what you have, like that's going on. There's people freaking out. Like they think they're going to die. It's like, you got to go towards nature. You got to go towards healing. They've got you in a mind trap. And that is this part of this development of this ascension as well, is this realizing you're not flesh and blood. That an accident can't hurt you. You can keep going. Even though before in the game we had death, but now we're going through this advancement where we get to learn that, oh no, we don't have to die. We can just keep on going. We can just keep on going. So there's going to be more and more of that. Like that video of that, there's going to be more and more miracles. And there's going to be more and more of us shifting our understanding and being like, oh, I don't have to die. I can keep going. And that because we're not flesh and blood, we're energy. We can do whatever we want. And this is this time of this ascension, this changing the game. So we have this available to us. It's not like, you know, you made a mistake. You didn't do it sooner. You should have done it years ago. No, it's available to us now. And it's not even available to everyone because everyone isn't paying attention. So many people are over here looking out the windows. You know, we're crossing over the Grand Canyon right now. You see her, and they're all over there. Yeah, look at that. Oh, did you see that over there? And so they're all distracted. And you know, they're like, oh, you see that crowd down there? They're gonna come up here and they're gonna kill you. They're gonna kill you all one by one. They're gonna kill you. You know, and everybody's like, oh my God, we're so scared. We're so scared. They're gonna get us. They're gonna get us. And there's going to be shit like I said, there's going to be mass amounts of people. I don't even know how many people are on that bridge, but there's going to be more of that. And also, like, bullshit. A fucking thing ran into bullshit. That was a fucking setup. Like, when you see that go, why would... I don't know. It's just like... but there's going to be more and more of that, you know? I mean, they fucking tell us that buildings come down when planes hit into them. So there's going to be more and more stuff, you know, and it's a part of waking people up too. It's like, oh my God, that's not possible. That's not possible. So there's going to be more and more of that, which on one sense, the souls that are leaving like that, they are kind of also helping in the awakening, like playing these martyr roles to get the other people to wake up. So we really got to be sending out a lot of appreciation to these people who are all leaving the game and, you know, all these tragic situations, because they are the movement that is turning people in the other direction, waking people up. So, you know, there is, it's all really a positive. But we all think, like, it's so much like how people think is so much like, oh my God, like there's a God up above them, like, oh my God, should we hide? What are we gonna do? You know, that kind of fearful, you know, there's somebody else in charge, they're gonna hurt us. That is where, you know, this development stage where you got to get past that, because that is like where so many people are. That's why I keep saying it's like this primitive way of looking at things. And but so, and you know, in the advancement as you go, there is like this detaching from this whole concept of flesh and blood to move you into this state of being of eternal. And there's all of these things that you hold on to that give you your idea, your identity of self. And this place has been built on so much corruption. So that is where it's a dismantling and a rebuilding, reprogramming yourself. And, you know, it's just like another game. Like I've said, we're way more advanced than what any of the players in this game. Like all these people, they seem like that they are, you know, are very much not advanced. But that's an illusion. Is when you come out of the game, that it's different. Like the players are very different. And that would be an interesting thing too. But as soon as you go, you start seeing the people for who they are, you know. And there's always a sense. It's a heavy sense in a soul. This is what we're going to see so much when it comes on, of like an embarrassment, like, oh, I could have done better. I wish I would have known. I wish I could have seen that, so I would have done better. And that is a part of like where you got to let go of that, because you're always learning what you're supposed to be learning. And that's kind of like an ego thing, where the ego keeps you trapped in that kind of feeling, so that you are, there is a point and a purpose to it, because it also gives you the drive to do better. You know, like if we were all just energy, just sitting around, just, you know, fat and happy, and we weren't doing anything, like what would our universe be like? Like we make it better. We make it grow. We make it have possibilities. Like there's all these possibilities, but in all these different like islands, these different gods, these different beings that create these different planets, it's like their energy is like encapsulated, like it's certain times like this encapsulated energy, so that you can go in and play out these things. But right now, this is where the energy is changing, and that's why it has something to do with the firmament. It has something to do with like this. To me, I see it as like this big bang, this explosion of energy. And that's why I'm like, man, it's going to be rough. This is going to be rough. But this explosion of energy, and that is what changes everything. And I don't know that it is going to be the awakening thing. It still seems like that the big explosion of energy would be like, I don't know, maybe it is the awakening. And then all the rest of the time is you advancing yourself. I don't know. Because it seems like that the big explosion would be like when we're going into the age of Aquarius. But maybe for some people, when this big explosion happens, that I'm talking energetic, that we go into the age of Aquarius, some people, but some people are still in this bridging and they haven't completely transitioned, but then they see the people up ahead, so it gives them direction so that they know how to get there. And so maybe that will be at like the age of Aquarius, where everything's going good and, you know, all that stuff is going to go more slow. It won't be just like all of a sudden just magic for everybody. It's going to be like everybody's got to choose that magic. Everybody's got to make choices. They got to go in this direction. They've got to work on themselves, heal themselves, let go of things. And because that is like, you got to get to this point of being accepting people for who they are, accepting people and experiences and situations, and allowing things, not having so much resistance to life and resistance in life, being more in the flow. So that is like what we're here doing. That's what we're here learning about. That's what we're here to go through. Because, you know, it's like, it is like a schooling kind of thing, because you advance through it and you learn from the things you go through. But like some of the souls like that, you know, there's always that thing, that safety thing. Like it is like you go back to this higher self and you can be reabsorbed into, you know, a re-expression. So, I don't know. There's like so many different things. Like stuff like that kind of freaks me out. Like there's a lot of things that kind of freak me out. There's a lot of this. The spiritual stuff is very vast. It is so like, it is like open water. And so sometimes it is like, fuck, that's freaky. Like, there's some freaky stuff. I think that, I don't know, I've kind of always felt like there's kind of like a safety in this birthing into these things. Like you have a little spacesuit, you could have these like experiences, you get to really feel like you're real. Like I'm a real person. Like, but when you're outside of it, it's like, it's a more vague concept, I feel like. I don't know. There's some weird stuff. So, but anyways, the thing that we're doing right now is this ascension for some of us, the people I'm talking to, is, you know, you're advancing yourself. You're becoming an independent, sovereign being. You're becoming a self-identifying being, an eternal being. You're connecting to that part of yourself, the eternal part of yourself, the part of you that's billions of years old and has a lot of life experience under their belt and a lot of a business to handle, a lot of skeletons to let go of. And so anyways, that is what, you know, that's what's going on. That's how I see it. That's what I see. And that, and I don't know, like every single event, like there's going to be, and I don't know for sure on this, what is that called, the eclipse thing, how they're trying to pump that up, is they really do have some people in certain areas that are getting notified. They're getting news alerts. They need to get all this stuff, be prepared, and you know, it's causing a lot of confusion. And then there's people who keep looking into it, and the line goes across the fault line, which is another weird thing, is like where the bridge collapse is. And there was a girl who was doing footage of the sky, and there was a big dark line that went over it. It's like, And then it collapses a few days later. Just like over in the other place, like there was that weird cloud above it, and then this thing, like, I don't know. And think about, there's probably lasers that they're fucking bolting down there, making this shit collapse and stuff. So I don't know, but it's weird how that was up in the sky. So there's definitely something, like I feel like there's something they're building up to, but there's also a thing about that there's not really even going to be an eclipse. Like the sun and moon aren't even near each other. So that there's going to be, it's that they're setting it up to get people prepared for some other kind of event. That something's going to happen. And then we've got all these solar flares coming that those can knock out the power and stuff. So, and then when the power goes out, they can really create chaos. So even if it is like the white hats trying to prepare people and get them ready because something's going to go down, then once the power goes out, then there's going to be, you know, that they could know that when the power goes out that there's going to be attacks. I mean, you got people just walking around punching people in the face, stabbing people in the streets, like there's all sorts of just crazy stuff happening, and it will be worse. It will be, you know, like they're trying to create the purge or something. But there is, you got to keep on remembering too, like there is a other group of people who are doing arrests. Like there's reasons why Diddy's house is getting invaded and stuff. Like there is a group of people who are going against this powers that be. And they've grown in power. And you can tell they've grown in power because of how many more people are speaking out and how much more the energy is going in this other direction. So you can see it's picking up speed, it's picking up the pace. But there is going to be, and there can be like really bad shit that's going to happen like right near you. And it's going, like, you just got to keep being in your mind. Like, it kind of like what I keep seeing is like in a video game or something, and everything's on fire, but you still have this being that's just like walking through the fire. It's like, hey, guys, how's it going? Because all these people's experience has nothing to do with you. And the more you can detach from their experiences and stay centered on your own, and the whole world can blow up around you, and you just keep on going. That is this connection to yourself and your eternal self. And all these other storylines can be happening around you that have nothing to do with you. And so, and there's a lot of them, and there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of stuff, endings, but all these endings are leading to this big, fantastic beginning. So, and you know in your soul, like you feel something in your soul. Like if your soul is, and if you feel that feeling of like, oh, well, I'm not going on. I don't feel anything. I feel like this is the end. Like, it's okay. Don't be scared of that. It's like you get the fuck out of the game. You get to go home. Like, it's going to be a celebration. And you've done what you came here to do. Like, don't be scared of that feeling. And don't, and then remember, like, all the things there's gonna be so much of this like sudden, like huge sudden things, like a bridge collapse. Well, those souls didn't go down, and they're all sucking up as soon as that stuff start going. And so don't be scared of like, oh my God, it's gonna hurt, and I'm gonna fall, and I'm gonna get in the water, and I'm gonna drown. And you don't do any of that stuff unless you want to experience it. If you want to experience, like, what does drowning feel like? You'll go through it. If you don't want to experience it, you'll just bounce right up out of your body. And then it's the people who witness it, then that's what they get to witness. But you're not in it. You have already left the storyline. So don't be scared. And it takes a lot. Like, this is a lot of mental gymnastics to get yourself through all this stuff, because there's so much scary stuff going on. And it can be very overwhelming. It can feel like it's like sucking us all up like a fucking vacuum. That's where you got to keep pulling yourself into center, pulling yourself out of fear. And just keep on thinking of yourself as like, you know, in the video game, the whole fucking thing is burning down, and you're just the player walking through. I'm just out having a nice little walk. Sorry about that with you guys. Like everybody's got all this chaos happening. But that doesn't mean that the chaos has to happen to you. The more that you can find yourself centered and understanding, but then when your stuff comes in to be like, you know, somebody all of a sudden jumps out in front of you, it's like, oh, okay, what do we got going on here? You know, be present in the moment. Don't be in fear. It can be all sorts of things. It can be somebody coming to bring you tools. That's what mostly, because you are getting tools when you heal stuff. You become more developed. You become more skilled. So it is giving you tools for the different things you go through. So it has purpose. It's productive. So, be present in the moment and go with whatever your flow is, whatever you've got to deal with, go with it. Don't be thinking, oh, well, there's a lot of negativity. There's just a lot of negativity. You can interjected your emotions and stuff, and you got to make choices to not interject into the negative emotions. Keep trying to see the higher purpose, the bigger reason, the bigger why something's happening. And all this stuff, all these endings, even fucking infrastructure and stuff like that. Like I've said, the cities are going to be like destroyed. I think there's going to be remnants. Like we're going out to rebuild. Like there's going to be so many places it'll just be like underwater, blown up. Like there's gonna be bad stuff. It's gonna happen to these different places. Like fucking California is gonna be all underwater. Here where I am is gonna be all underwater. So and I know I've got to be moving inland. Like that is a for sure thing. But I'm still waiting to see like when we start making moves, because you try and do things prematurely and you're not in your flow, then you will run into problems. Because you're trying to control it. You can't get into the part of you trying to control it. You got to get into the relaxation of okay, so what's next? And a lot of times it's like, just keep circling. We're going to call you down when it's time. Don't you worry. So don't get too caught up in overthinking and thinking like, well, I got to figure this out. I got to figure that out. No, you got to go just like going with the flow, and do things that don't make sense. Get dresses when people tell you should be packing. But you guys are going to really like these dresses. I think they're pretty. But okay, let me think if there was something else. Hopefully that making sense, because I feel like I can see it. It makes sense to me, but I don't know if I'm expressing it in a way that makes sense to you. So hopefully there's being productive here. But it is the more that you can find yourself in center, the more that you can focus on yourself but not try and control things. And the more that you can find yourself in a space of forgiveness and gratitude, the more that you're going to find, things going in a direction that you want. And the more that you are fighting against it and trying to control it, and you're scared of this and that, and the more that the universe is going to keep showing you you're going in the wrong direction. So, and like I said, there's going to be more and more of that publicly. Like I feel like David is, publicly showing sides of himself that he doesn't realize. There's a lot of people out there that are showing sides of themselves that they don't realize what they're showing. And I'm sure I'm showing sides of myself that I don't realize I'm showing. It's just like, that's why the mirrors come up. So you can see yourself, because you have no reference until you get that opportunity to see yourself. So everybody's going to get these chances. And then there's going to be people, who are going to be embarrassed over some of the stuff, like of pushing on certain things, like especially in this collapse, to be getting centered or focused on money and needing it and stuff. This is all being pulled from you so you can get into the thing of like, well, I don't really need that. Well, I mean, do we really need that? And because the money has gotten people to do some dark shit for money. And people have fucked people over. Like, man, there's so many bad things. People have fucking doing it presently, killing people for fucking insurance money. Like, that was a motherfucking setup. Like, that's part of the game. It is part of the opportunities that people have to come in and play out things. Like, none of this stuff is by accident. It's there so that people can come in and be like, well, Like, I could kill you and make some money. So, anyways, that's so people can see these parts of themselves. And plus, there's this always tit for tat going. There's souls, I don't know, there could be souls here who just play like that. It's just like, I'll get you in the next one. Like, I don't know. We've got all sorts of advanced players. We got all sorts of players. And then we got all sorts of people who don't even know, what they are yet. Yeah, it's going to change when people all start waking up and really reconnecting to themselves. We're going to see like some changes in people. And people start getting a hold of that, like, I was a warrior back in the, like how David is, like, I was Edgar Casey. There's going to be a lot more of like, well, back when I was alive in this other time, I remember. I think that will be a lot more funner conversations and talking about like, well, you know what Joe did. Like, I think it'll be a lot more interesting when we are more connected to ourselves. But there's always a downside. Everything has a dark and a light. Because the downside is that there's a less productive in the development, because you won't take things as serious. You'll see. It's like, oh, it's just a game. It's just a game. I'm here learning. I'm here. So it changes it. And so, that's why with the veil on, there was so much productivity, or so much learning, so much gaining. And that's why don't be hard on yourself and think, like so many people, I should have learned that sooner. I should have done that sooner. I wish I would have seen it sooner. And no, you see things right when you're supposed to see them. It's like I said, you're on this flight pattern. You land when you're supposed to land. You don't worry about it. And it's not for you to figure out. It's like the flight plan is all developed. And everything has its place. It's all in order. And you are where you're supposed to be. You are understanding what you're supposed to understand. And when you understand the things that you are here to understand, you're just supposed to go with the flow. Like, go into the learning and developing and releasing. And, like, there's a whole different thing. Like, when you go in, it's like going into the council meetings, of like, how are we looking at this? And then plus, when you get up in the day, just go with the flow. Don't try and over plan. Be like, well, let's see what this day brings. Because every day has its own set plan. And I think so much of our time that we spend trying to control it and plan it and think about it and stuff, it's like, it's going to happen the way it's going to happen. And you're not supposed to be in control of it. You're not supposed to be planning it all. You're supposed to be it's kind of like your higher self makes you this plan, like this vacation, this party. And then you go to the party and then you're trying to change it the whole time. Well, I don't like that. Well, I don't like what I'm wearing. Well, I don't like what I look like. Well, I don't like this. Well, I don't like my parents. Well, I don't like this. And instead of being like, enjoying the party that you're there to experience. It's like you're fighting the experience. So it's like you're going against your own God, your own creator. So it's all about getting into this flow, I'm telling you. Get into the flow of life. The game of life. Get into the flow. It's a water sport. It's like it's a winding river water thing. And then sometimes it's like bouncy and hard. And then other times it's just go with the flow. But you got to learn to go with the flow even through the bouncy, hard parts. It's just ride it, just ride it out. And just throughout the ride, you got to remember to love yourself, to love everyone, and have a loving day. And I'll talk to you later.